There are a ton of new weapons in the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, many of which you can already find very early if you know where to look. From the graceful light greatsword to the hyper-aggressive beast claws, I'll tell you how to get these weapons and give you some tips on how to best use them. So let's start with how to get the hand-to-hand combat style, the Dryleaf Arts. It's of course super badass to play through Elden Ring as a lone martial arts wanderer, and the lengthy combo and badass jump attack also allow you to play really aggressive. The chargeable palm blast weapon art is also pretty good, and it's a weapon almost any build can try and enjoy with a low requirement of 8 strength and 8 dexterity. Getting it can be a bit complicated though, so let me walk you through it. The first thing you want to do is head to the High Road Cross site of Grace, where you'll find a letter called the Monk's Missive that also unlocks a new emote. Sounds silly now, but we're going to need that later. Now the common way to reach this Grace is by beating the Castle Ensis boss, but if you haven't done that yet, don't worry, there's an alternate route that doesn't require you to kill a boss. Credits for this one go to Tagback, by the way, link to his channel will be in the video description. Start from the castle front Grace Point over here, then head east, go to this little war camp and head down the path that goes left. Make your way all the way across the poison swamp until you reach a blocked spirit spring. There's also a shack nearby with a talisman you can grab, but you want to look for this stack of stones, then break it to unlock the spirit spring and leap up the mountain. You'll land on a ledge with a second spring, and you want to angle your jump slightly to the right so you land next to, not on top of, the castle on top of the cliff. Go around the fort until you find the road and take a right and keep following that road until you reach this Grace Point, the Morth Ruins. From here you can easily get to the High Road Cross, grab the ladder, and then you actually need to come back to the ruins you just passed. There's an NPC here that doesn't want to talk to you, but if you perform the emote you got with the letter, you'll actually trigger a boss fight against this NPC, and you probably already guessed it, but beating him rewards you with the Dryleaf Arts. Dane uses them himself during the fight, and while that means he's pretty fast, he has pretty much no range, so using weapons with more reach than him will make the fight a lot easier. Once you've beaten him, your first martial arts weapon is waiting for you on the ground. Luckily, not every weapon is as complicated to get, and in fact there's actually some really good ones you can just grab from a chest, like the Firespark perfume bottle. These allow you to throw out elemental dust, fire in this case, giving you a ranged attack that costs no FP or ammo. By two-handing the weapon, you equip a second bottle for what is effectively a dual-wield moveset, and while the range on the regular attacks is a bit short, the charged heavy attack can reach a massive AoE. While you can run these as a main weapon, you can also equip a bottle in your offhand for some quick range damage to mix in between your main weapon attacks. And yeah, like I said, getting this one is very straightforward. You need to head to the castle front side of Grace I mentioned earlier. This Grace is in the middle of a giant war camp, and on the southeastern side of the camp is a chest that's also surrounded by Perfumer enemies. Be especially careful of the guy with the horn who can alert the rest of the camp, but once you've dealt with them, you can grab the Firespark bottle from the nearby treasure chest. And you see me using it here in combination with the Milady, which is part of my favorite category of new weapons, the light greatswords. These weapons have everything: reach, fast attacks, long combos, and the moveset in general is one of the coolest in the game. It almost makes you look like a dancer. The only downside is that the weapon art it comes with isn't that great, but you can of course easily swap those out to make it better fit your build at a site of grace. And surprise surprise, in order to get this weapon, you also need to go to the castle front point of Grace, except this time we are headed into Castle Ensis. Cross the bridge to the north, either deal with or run past the Carian Giant, and take the stairs leading up on your left. Take another left and then another, be wary of the guardsmen and dogs patrolling the area, and then on this upper platform you've now reached, you can find a ladder to climb the nearby tower and grab the Milady from the chest on top of it. And of course, subscribe for way more videos like this on the Elden Ring DLC, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video so far. The next weapon is another one I think many people want to get because it's a great katana. Regular katanas have always been top tier weapons in Elden Ring, and these new bigger versions have a ton of extra range. Of course, the attacks are slower than a regular katana, but it's still a very powerful weapon type. What's cool is that the moveset is pretty different depending on if you're holding the weapon in one or in two hands. And the weapon skill overhead stance also deserves a special mention, as the triple strike you trigger with R2 or RT while holding the weapon art button is very powerful. And it's a sneaky Sekiro reference as well, as I'm pretty sure this is the same animation as the the Ichimonji attack from that game. And yeah, again, this is a really easy grab, no boss skills required, although we are going to get acquainted with an overworld boss to get the weapon. First things first, you want to activate the Great Bridge north side of Grace, which you can reach if you just keep heading north from where you enter the Land of Shadow. Next to this side of Grace is a lake, and in the middle of it is a body with the Great Katana. Problem is, there is also a dragon in the lake, so you can fight it if you want to, but quickly hopping on Torrent to grab the item will also do the trick. If you'd rather use a faster weapon type, then you'll want to track down the Beast Claws as soon as possible. This weapon has an extremely aggressive moveset with a light attack combo of 8 hits that come in very quick succession. What makes it even better is that pretty much every attack with this weapon also includes some forward movement, meaning it makes up for its lack of range with excellent gap closing potential. And nowhere is this more true than with the weapon art Savage Claws, where you leap into the air and just go ham with a very fast combo. Unlike the Dryleaf Arts, you can also imbue the Beast Claws with a weapon buff for elemental damage. So yeah, while the martial arts moveset is great, I think I like this one even more. In order to get it, we need to beat another NPC, Logger the Beast Claw, who resides in the woods right next to where you start the DLC. If you head to the southeast from the first side of Grace, you should eventually run into Logger. Good to note is that he is a hostile NPC, not an invader, so your horse does not disable when you're close to him, nor will he relentlessly hunt you down. You need to find him yourself. I found him pretty close to the middle of the woods, and after beating him, the claws are yours. Another weapon you definitely don't want to miss is the Backhand Blade. I should say Backhand Blades actually, because this is a paired weapon, meaning that if you two-hand it, you'll pull out a second sword. That also means that any weapon buff you apply triggers on both blades, which is neat. The Backhand Blades are kind of similar to the Beast Claws in that they have a long light attack combo that also involves a lot of forward movement. But the real standout is the weapon skill Blind Spot, which makes you duck to the side, then pounce forward to stab an enemy in the flank. Like the Bloodhound Stab, this weapon art can be used to dodge an attack, but you immediately follow up with a lunge and a stab, which makes it even better. And you can decide if you duck left or right by holding the corresponding movement input while activating the weapon art. So yeah, an amazing weapon you definitely want to try, and the best part is, it is super easy to get. You just need to get to this location on the map, which is in the giant field where you enter the DLC, and grab it from a shrine-like structure. No boss or dungeon involved, just right there, and this amazing pair of blades is yours. Now the expansion also added a very unique weapon type called Smithscript weapons. These go in various weapon categories like daggers or hammers, but the unifying factor is that you throw these weapons instead of using them for regular attacks. Like the perfume bottles, doing so costs no FP or resources, but the range is something you have to get used to a bit. But yeah, it far outranges any melee weapon, and depending on the weapon type, you can also attack pretty fast, like with the Smithscript Dagger I found. And while the moveset is completely ranged, you can still backstab with these weapons. In order to get the throwing daggers, we want to head to the Ruined Forged Lava Intake Dungeon. Start from the castle front Grace Point once more, then head east past the smaller war camp, but instead of heading down into the valley, we go right towards the ruins. The dungeon entrance is hard to miss, and once you've found the Grace inside, you want to follow this route. Head further in, follow the path, take a right here, follow the path along until you reach a giant ledge. There's a ladder at the back, so go down, head towards the far end of the room, and then take a right. The Smithscript Dagger is on a body in this room next to a golem. Let us know if you found more cool weapons in the DLC, and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next Elden Ring video. Leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and check out another Elden Ring video by clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.